Welcome to Who's Wrong. If you're into messy stories, blurred morals, and moments that make you stop and ask, wait, who's actually wrong here? You're in the right place. Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next story. Now let's get into it. Am I the jerk for reporting my brother to CPS over his parenting? So hear what happened and I don't even know where to begin. My brother, Mark, he's always been a lot. Explosive, short-fused. But after his divorce, it got worse. A lot worse. His ex, Sarah, she's a saint for putting up with him for so long, honestly. But she moved out of state, and now he has full custody of their 2 kids, Leo, who's 6, and Maya, who's 4. I try to help, I really do. I go over there, bring them food, try to keep the chaos contained. But it's a losing battle. The house is always a mess. Cereal boxes on the floor, dirty dishes stacked to the ceiling. And the kids. They're just running wild. No real schedule, no real rules. Mark just yells at them, mostly. Or ignores them. It's heartbreaking to watch. Last week I went over and it was a complete disaster. Leo had this huge bruise on his arm, not just a little bump like a deep purplish-blue mark. I asked him what happened and he just shrugged, looked at the floor. "I fell," he mumbled. Maya, she was sitting in a corner, sucking her thumb, looking utterly miserable. Mark was in his room, door closed, music blasting. I went and pounded on his door. He finally opened it, looking annoyed, his hair all disheveled. "What?" he snapped. I brought up Leo's bruise, asked him what was going on. He just rolled his eyes. "Kids fall, Jen. Get over it. You're always looking for something." His breath smelled like stale beer, even though it was only like 3 p.m. That was it for me. Something just snapped. I've been trying to support him, trying to be there for the kids. But seeing Leo's arm, seeing Maya so withdrawn, it felt like too much. I kept thinking about Sarah, wondering if she knew. But she's so far away, and Mark makes it almost impossible for her to talk to the kids without him hovering. I went home and I couldn't stop thinking about it. That bruise, the silence from Leo, the way Maya was just shrinking. My stomach was in knots. I kept picturing them alone with him and I felt this overwhelming wave of fear. Was I overreacting? Was it just a kid falling? But then, why the secretiveness? Why the anger from Mark? I paced my apartment for hours, called my best friend, Jessica, and she just listened mostly. She didn't really offer much advice, just said it sounded like a terrible situation. I know she wouldn't want to get involved, she hates drama, but I needed someone to hear it, to make it real. Finally, at like 10 p.m., I just did it. I called Child Protective Services. I gave them our address, told them about the bruise, about the general state of things, the mess, the yelling, the neglect. I tried to stay calm, to just state the facts, but my voice was shaking. The woman on the other end was very professional, very calm. She just said they'd look into it. And then it was done. The next day, Mark called me, absolutely furious. "CPS was here, Jen. CPS. Do you know what that means? They're gonna take my kids. You did this, didn't you? You just want to hurt me." He screamed at me for a good 20 minutes, accusing me of trying to sabotage him, of being jealous, of wanting his kids. I tried to deny it at first, but my voice was weak. Eventually, I just hung up. I haven't heard from him since. My phone has been blowing up with calls from other family members, all asking what happened. My mom is devastated, saying I've torn the family apart. My aunt is calling me a traitor. And I don't know. I see Leo's bruise in my mind. I see Maya's sad little face. And I wonder, was this the only way? Did I really do the right thing, or did I just make everything worse? So what do you think? Was this concern or quiet revenge? Commenter 1 said, "No way op, you did the right thing, you're not wrong here." Commenter 2 said, "You definitely have a savior complex. This wasn't your call." Commenter 3 said, "I wouldn't trust anyone who risks breaking up a family like that over one incident." I deleted my dying mom's final voicemail. Who's actually wrong here? This one is going to sound awful, I know. I still feel sick to my stomach about it. My mom always fought with my dad, like always. Their whole marriage was just a series of explosions followed by tense silences. They stayed together for the kids, which was us, my brother David and me. It just made us all miserable, honestly. When Mom got sick, really sick with pancreatic cancer, things didn't magically get better. If anything, the tension got worse. Dad became even more distant, more sullen. Mom, she got angrier, frustrated, scared, I guess. She'd lash out mostly at Dad, but sometimes at us too. It wasn't pretty. Towards the end, she was in hospice. It was heartbreaking to see her like that. She was fading fast. We were all there hovering. Then one afternoon, she had a moment of clarity, or maybe just a surge of energy. She asked to speak to Dad alone. I remember feeling a chill. I just knew it was going to be bad. They were in her room for about 15 minutes. When Dad came out, his face was like stone. He wouldn't look at any of us. He just walked right past us and out of the building. My brother and I looked at each other, totally confused. What just happened? Mom passed away a few hours later. It was quick, peaceful, eventually. We were all devastated, of course. Even with all the fighting, she was our mom. The funeral was a blur. Dad was still in this strange, numb state. He didn't cry. He didn't talk much. About a week after the funeral, I was going through Mom's phone. We decided to keep her number active for a while, just in case there were any final messages for us or something. I was clearing out her voicemail, deleting spam old messages, and then I saw it. A message from about an hour before she passed. From Dad. My heart literally stopped. I was so curious, so desperate to know what happened in that room. I clicked play. It was Mom's voice, raspy, weak, but clear enough. "You were never truly there for me, were you?" she whispered. "All those years, everything was a lie. You destroyed me. I hate you. I wish I never met you. Never married you." And then there was a click, like she hung up. My stomach dropped. It wasn't the sweet, final message I'd hoped for. It was pure, unadulterated venom. A final, burning accusation. And Dad had just walked out without a word. He'd obviously listened to it or heard it in the room. I sat there, frozen, listening to it again and again. The words just echoed in my head. "I hate you. I wish I never met you." And I thought about Dad, how broken he seemed despite his stoicism, how he hadn't shed a tear, how he probably heard those words in his ears as she died. I glanced at the phone, at the option to delete. And without really thinking, without a moment of hesitation, I pressed it. Gone. The voicemail was gone. I deleted it, not just from her phone, but from the cloud backup, from everywhere I could possibly find it. I erased it. David, my brother, came in a few minutes later, asking if I found anything interesting. I just shook my head. "Just a bunch of junk," I said, trying to sound casual. He bought it. He hugged me. We talked about Mom, about how much we missed her, about how difficult Dad was being. I never told him. I never told Dad. No one knows I heard it or that I deleted it. Sometimes, late at night, I wonder if Dad ever wishes he still had some final message from her. But what kind of message would that have been? A message of pure hatred. I justified it to myself. It was an act of mercy, I thought, for Dad. For David, for me even. Those words didn't need to exist in the world anymore. They didn't need to haunt anyone else. She was gone. Let her rest peacefully without that bitterness as her last recorded words. But then the guilt creeps in. Was it my place to decide that? To erase her final sentiments, however bitter? Was I protecting them, or just covering up the awful truth of their marriage, making it easier for us to grieve a version of her that wasn't entirely real? And did I truly do it for them, or because I couldn't bear to have that anger as her last legacy? So what do you think? Is hiding the truth mercy or manipulation? Commenter 1 said, "You were protecting everyone, I get it." Commenter 2 said, "You stole her voice in the end. That's not yours to erase." Commenter 3 said, "Your dad manipulated this entire family. You enabled it." I stopped inviting my best friend because her husband creeps me out. Am I wrong? Okay, so this is a tough one. Sarah has been my best friend since elementary school. We've been through everything together. Boyfriends, breakups, college, new jobs, everything. She's like a sister to me, always has been. Then she met Mark, her husband, and that's where things started getting weird. Mark is just off. He's got this intense stare, you know, like he's always looking through you, not at you. And he doesn't talk much, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but when he does, it's usually something a little too personal or a little too pointed. We've had him over for dinner parties, casual hangouts, game nights. And every single time, I just feel this deep sense of unease. He'll stand a little too close when he talks to me, or make these really quiet, almost imperceptible comments that just make my skin crawl. Like one time he said, "You know, you look really comfortable in that dress." But the way he said it, it wasn't a compliment. It felt predatory. Another time, at a holiday party, I was in the kitchen getting a drink, and he just appeared beside me out of nowhere. I jumped, and he just smiled this slow, unsettling smile. "Lost, Jen," he said, and I swear his eyes lingered on my chest for a second too long. I just made an excuse and got out of there. I've brought it up to my boyfriend, Mike, a few times. He says he gets a weird vibe from Mark, too. "He gives me the creeps," Mike agreed. Like a bad movie villain. But Mike also thinks I'm overthinking it, that Mark is just socially awkward. Sarah loves him, he'd say, so he can't be that bad. But it's not just awkwardness. It's the way he moves, the way he watches. I've caught him staring at me across the room multiple times, and when I meet his gaze, he doesn't immediately look away. He just holds it for a beat too long and then gives this tiny, almost imperceptible smirk. It makes my stomach clench. My house is my safe space. It's where I relax. But when Mark is here, I feel on edge constantly. I worry about what he's looking at, what he's thinking. I even actively avoid going to the bathroom alone when he's around. It's irrational, maybe, but the feeling is real. So after about a year of this, I just stopped inviting them. Or more accurately, I stopped inviting him. When I plan something casual, I'll invite Sarah to come over, just us girls, or just you and me. If it's a bigger party, I make excuses. Oh, we're keeping it small this time. Or, it's going to be a loud one, probably not your scene. Sarah has noticed. She's my best friend, she's not stupid. A few times, she said, "Are Mark and I not invited to X?" And I'll just try to gloss over it. "Oh no, it's just a casual thing, you know." Or I'll say Mark probably wouldn't enjoy it anyway. She just gets quiet and then changes the subject. It's awkward and it breaks my heart a little because I know she feels excluded. But I can't bring myself to say, "Your husband makes me deeply uncomfortable and I don't want him in my house." How do you even say that to your best friend? It would destroy her. She's so in love with him, or at least she seems to be. She's so happy, and I don't want to be the one to burst her bubble, to plant a seed of doubt. But at the same time, I feel like I'm losing her. She doesn't want to come to things alone as much anymore. We don't see each other as often as we used to. Our friendship is slowly fading, and it feels like it's my fault. But what am I supposed to do? Sacrifice my own sense of safety and peace in my own home just to preserve a friendship? Or protect myself and let the chips fall where they may? So what do you think? Whose silence causes more harm, yours or hers? Commenter 1 said, I'd do the same. No one deserves to feel unsafe. Commenter 2 said, "You should have told her, that's not friendship." Commenter 3 said, "Creepy vibes aren't facts. This feels performative." I read my fiancé's journal and found out he's still in love with his ex. Who's wrong? This is going to sting, and I know I messed up by even looking in the first place. But the damage is done now. My fiancé, Alex, and I, we've been together for 3 years, engaged for 6 months, planning our wedding for next spring. Everything seemed perfect. He's kind, funny, smart. He's everything I thought I wanted. He has this old leather-bound journal that he keeps in his bedside drawer. He's always been very private about it. Said it was just old thoughts, things he wrote when he was younger, private reflections. I never pressed it. I respect his privacy, or at least I thought I did. Last night he was out with his buddies for their weekly poker night. I was feeling a bit restless just cleaning up around the apartment. I went to put something away in his drawer and my hand brushed against the journal. It was just sitting there, open slightly, like he'd been writing in it recently. My heart started thumping. I told myself to leave it, to respect his boundaries. But the curiosity, it was a monstrous thing. It clawed at me. Just a peek, I told myself, just a glance. Who knows what old stuff he wrote? I pulled it out. It fell open on its own to a recent entry. I didn't even have to search. My eyes just landed on the words and instantly my blood ran cold. The date was from a few weeks ago. It was about his ex, Chloe, his first serious girlfriend from college. They broke up years ago, long before we met. I always knew she was important to him, but he never talked about her much. He'd just say it didn't work out, that they were young. But this entry, it wasn't old memories. It was raw. He wrote about her smile, about the way she laughed, about how he still hears her voice sometimes. He wrote about the what-ifs. He poured his heart out, saying he still had such a deep, aching love for her, a love he never truly got over. He even wrote something like, "Sometimes I look at my name and see Chloe. I know it's not fair to her, but I can't help it." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My fiancé, the man who proposed to me, who talks about our future, who says he loves me every single day. He's still in love with someone else, still carrying a torch for his ex, and equating me to her. I slammed the journal shut. My hands were shaking, my whole body felt cold. I put it back in the drawer exactly as I found it. Then I just sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall. Every word he's ever said to me, every touch, every kiss, it all felt like a lie, a performance. When he came home a few hours later, I was still sitting there pretending to read. He came in, kissed my forehead, asked how my evening was. "Good," I lied, my voice sounding hollow even to my own ears. He didn't notice. He just went to bed, happy and unsuspecting. I didn't sleep a wink. I kept replaying those words in my head. Deep, aching love. See, Chloe, it's not just a crush, it's not just a faint memory. It's an active, ongoing, emotional attachment. And he's marrying me. Now what do? Do I confront him? How do I even bring it up without admitting I violated his privacy? I feel like a terrible person for reading his journal. I completely overstepped. But what I found, it changes everything. It completely destroys the foundation of our relationship, at least for me. Was it better not to know? Was my invasion of privacy worse than his secret emotional infidelity? I just feel so lost, so betrayed, and so incredibly unsure of what's real anymore. I opened a door I shouldn't have, and now I can't unsee what's behind it. So what do you think? Is reading the journal worse than what I found inside? Commenter 1 said, "Girl, run. That man is haunted, not healed." Commenter 2 said, "Honestly, those letters don't cancel his proposal. You violated his trust." Commenter 3 said, "People don't always marry the love of their life, and that's okay." I secretly paid off my sister's debt but lied about it. Am I the jerk? Okay, this is a mess, and I know I probably overstepped, but my heart was in the right place. Maybe I'm just a controlling jerk. You tell me. My sister, Chloe, she's always had a tough time with money. Like ever since she was a teenager. She's got a good heart, she's creative, but she's just not practical. She'd spend money like water, then wonder why her bank account was empty. Our parents, bless their hearts, they always bailed her out. Always. It drove me crazy. They'd moan and groan, say, "This is the last time, Chloe." Then a month later, she'd be calling them again, crying about rent, or medical bills, or some crazy debt she'd racked up. And they'd always pay it. It created this cycle where she never learned to be responsible because she always had a safety net. Fast forward to a few months ago. Chloe called me in hysterics. She'd gotten herself into a huge amount of credit card debt, like seriously huge. We're talking over $20,000. She'd quietly consolidated a few times, but it eventually caught up to her. And she was facing a lawsuit, garnished wages, all sorts of terrible stuff. Our parents, meanwhile, were on a fixed income and had just taken a massive hit from an unexpected home repair. They couldn't bail her out this time. They actually told her no, for the first time ever. Chloe was a complete wreck. She told me she was going to lose her apartment, that she didn't know what to do. She was sobbing, truly desperate. And I could tell this time she was genuinely scared. She actually realized the gravity of her situation. It was finally hitting her. I'm doing pretty well for myself. I've worked hard, saved, invested. I have a good emergency fund. And I found myself looking at my sister, broken, truly at rock bottom, and something in me just broke too. I hated seeing her like that, and I hated that our parents had enabled her for so long. So I decided to do something. I didn't tell her or my parents. I went ahead and contacted her credit card companies, worked out a payment plan, and then paid off the bulk of it in one go. It took a huge chunk out of my savings, but it was doable for me. I set up the remaining, smaller payments to come out of her account directly, so she'd at least have to manage that. Then, I called her. I told her I had pulled some strings and talked to a lawyer friend who helped her negotiate a much lower settlement with the credit card company. I told her the amount was significantly reduced, but that she still had to pay it diligently or the whole thing would fall apart. I even gave her a modest amount she still owed as part of the settlement, which was really just pocket money I gave her so she felt like she was actually doing something. She was so relieved, so grateful. She cried and thanked me 1,000,000 times. She genuinely thinks she negotiated her way out of a huge mess and got really lucky. She's been paying her small monthly payments like clockwork ever since. She feels like she's digging herself out, and it's completely changed her attitude about money. She's actually being responsible, talking about budgeting, cutting back. She's finally learning. My parents, hearing about her victory, were thrilled that she handled it herself. They're so proud of her. No one knows I was the one who actually paid for it. I did it because I wanted her to learn to take responsibility, but without having her life implode. I also didn't want our parents to lose their savings again. But every time she thanks me for helping her with the negotiations, or when my parents praise her for finally getting her act together, I feel this weird pang of guilt. I lied, I completely fabricated the story, and I probably robbed her of the true experience of hitting rock bottom and having to fight her way out with truly nothing. Maybe that's what she needed. Maybe I was just being a controlling big sister, unable to let her fail, even when failure was exactly what she needed to succeed. So what do you think? Was this a gift or a quiet form of control? Commenter 1 said, "You did this out of love. That's wholesome AF." Commenter 2 said, "But you also changed how she saw your parents. That's deception." Commenter 3 said, "Maybe this was more about you needing to be needed." My sister vanished after accusing our dad of abuse. I don't believe her, am I wrong? This is heavy, and it's been tearing my family apart for years. My older sister, Clara, she was always difficult. Rebellious, angry, always felt like she was misunderstood. Our dad, he was tough, strict. A man of his generation, I guess you could say. He believed in discipline, in tough love. He yelled, sometimes he'd ground us for weeks or make us do extra chores if we misbehaved. But abuse? No, never, not the way Clara described it. She left home the day she turned 18. No goodbye, just a note saying she couldn't live in that house of horrors any longer. We didn't hear from her for months. Then out of the blue, she called our mom, crying, saying terrible things. That dad had emotionally abused her, physically abused her, controlled her every move. She even implied worse. Horrible, unsubstantiated claims that made my stomach churn. Mom was devastated. Dad was furious, hurt beyond words. He just shook his head, kept saying, "She's sick. She's always been sick." But me, I was confused. I was raised in the exact same house by the exact same parents. Dad was tough, yes, maybe not the most emotionally expressive. But he never, ever laid a hand on us in anger. He never trapped us, never did any of the truly dark things Clara was alleging. I remember arguments, plenty of them. Him yelling at her for coming home late, for bad grades, for talking back, and her yelling right back, defiant. I saw him hold her down once when she was having a complete tantrum, kicking and screaming, purely to keep her from hurting herself or breaking something. But that was a one-off, and he looked terrified doing it, not abusive. So when she made these accusations, I didn't believe them. I couldn't. It didn't fit with the dad I knew, the dad who tucked me in, who taught me how to ride a bike, who stayed up all night when I had the flu. It felt like her dramatic, rebellious nature had twisted reality, like she needed a reason, a justification for hating our family and leaving. I told my mom that. I said, "Mom, you know Dad, this isn't true. Clara's exaggerating. She's always been like this." My mom, caught in the middle, just cried. She wanted to believe the best in both her children. Dad, he just held his head high and refused to engage. He said, "I know what I am. And I know what I'm not." Clara kept calling for a while, trying to get Mom to take her side, trying to convince me. But I held my ground. I couldn't in good conscience condemn my father based on what I felt were distorted, perhaps even invented, memories from a sister who always seemed to thrive on drama. Not when I had witnessed the exact opposite. Eventually, she stopped calling. That was 5 years ago. She just vanished. No social media, no forwarding address, no phone number we could trace. My parents are heartbroken. Mom still cries for her. Dad just gets quiet when her name comes up. And I miss her, my sister. Even with all the trouble, she was my sister. But the accusations still stand. And sometimes a tiny doubt creeps in. What if I was wrong? What if my experience was different? What if Dad was different with her? But then I shake my head. No, I was there, I witnessed it, and it doesn't add up. Is it possible that I'm in denial? That I'm protecting my idea of my father? And in doing so, I pushed my sister away, perhaps condemning her to a lifetime of hurt because I couldn't see past my own perspective. I often wonder if I should have just listened, even if I didn't entirely believe. But then, what would that have meant for my relationship with my dad, who I truly believe is innocent of what she claimed? So what do you think? Is disbelief denial or self-preservation? Commenter 1 said, "Different lives, same house, it happens." Commenter 2 said, "You can't accuse someone with zero proof." Commenter 3 said, "You need to protect your sister, no matter what that means." Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video from us. We'll see you in the next one.